All right, so before I start, I want to let everyone know that only about 20% of everyone who watches my videos are subscribed. So, for the 80% of you who watch my content who are not subscribed, I ask you, please subscribe to the channel to help me out, help everyone else out, help the channel out, and also help yourself out because the content is really good, I think. So, if you enjoy any of my videos on my channel, such as this one or any of the others, please hit that subscribe button and help the channel out. All right, so welcome to another writing video. Today I want to write scene 5, which I'm going to say that scene 5 is going to be whenever the son meets the strange woman again at the pool hall, at 10:30, like she mentioned in scene 2. And so this will be the second time that the son and the strange girl are meeting and are interacting with each other. So let's see. What is a good... So before we can actually get into the scene, we need to figure out transition between interlude 4 and scene 5. So oh gosh. Interlude 4 was the son recalling his first date with his second girlfriend, and he recalls it as being the best date that he has ever been on. And so he keeps talking about how perfect the date was. And so the music that I had going into the interlude is the Unforgettable Duet, which is by Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole. If you've never heard the song before, it's an amazing song. The song transcends time because Unforgettable is a song written by Nat King Cole back in like the 60s, 50s, 60s, something like that he recorded as a solo. 30, 40 years later, when Nat King Cole was no longer with us, he was dead, but his daughter was fully grown, she released her own single version of this song where she performed a duet with her father's vocals from the original song. And the duet is absolutely more famous than the original song is. And so I love the idea. And so I love that song, and so the fact that it's a duet makes it even more perfect because it's about the son being with this girl who would end up becoming his second girlfriend. So going into scene 5, the son has finished talking about how perfect his date was. So then the chair would be cleared away as the set changes. The chair is cleared away as we change to a pool hall setting. As we change to a pool hall setting, we see the sun. We see sun walk in and scan the room for the strange woman. We see the son walk in and scan the room for the strange woman. When the son is unable to locate her, he gets a table for himself, secretly hoping that she will show up like she said she would. Transition music is all right. So this is the hard part, because this is the most important part to me. What is the transition music going to be from interlude 4 into scene 5? Because the transition music that precedes every scene or interlude needs to convey the mood of what the scene is going to be. And so in this scene, it's supposed to be the son waiting for the strange woman to show up, and it is not explicitly a date that him and the strange woman are having, but he's sort of thinking about what if she thinks of this as a date, and because of that he should act like it's a date, partially at the very least, because that will cause his manners to be at their height. And so he'll be gentlemanly, and he'll be, funny. He'll be asking questions, trying to get to know her better. And so the transition music leading into the scene needs to convey those kinds of feelings. And so I'm going to go to YouTube right now, actually, and I'm going to nope, never mind. I don't need to go to YouTube, because I know exactly what song I want to have here. So let's see. I'm gonna look at the transition music for the other scenes real quick. I can forget. I just realized I do not have any transition music going into scene 1. There we go. That'll be good for right now. So the transition music that I want here is this Love by Whitesnake, because it's not that the son is already in love with it's not that the son is already in love with the strange woman, because he's not. It's because the son knows in his mind that he's never seen a girl that more perfectly matches exactly what he wants out of a woman than in this girl. And so he's beginning to have the song is meant to imply that he's beginning to have these thoughts about her, just as probably any person would imagine. Like, the son is being like, okay, if her and I really do hit it off perfectly, and I ask her out on an actual date and we start dating for real, the son is thinking, can I imagine myself actually loving her? That's what the son is thinking. Scene 5. And so, all right, so now we're getting into the meat of actually writing scene 5. I haven't actually thought about scene 5 much at all. I'm thinking about very certain specific scenes that I know are going to be happening later in the show. I have not been thinking about getting there exactly, but I think I'm getting close to the first one. So, let's see. Well, um, that. So while I'm writing this, I'll talk to you all about how my life has been. Work is, I would say that work is really good, but I mean, you know, I really like my job right now. It's really simple. I like all my coworkers. I like most of my bosses. So everything's good and fine. The only issue that I sort of have right now is that I'm supposed to be getting full time at this job that I'm working, and it's my first ever full time job. But the issue is that this last week, or really, I'm still in this week. But this last week that I'm in right now, I've only getting full time is 40 hours, and so but I'm only getting 25 this week, and so I think that's a bit strange. If it's just 1 week, then I get it, but said if it's just 1 week, then I understand. But if it's But if it's just, but like if this continues on for like another week after this, or even another week after that, I'm definitely gonna have to like find one of my managers and sit down and be like, hey, I have to have full time for this job, otherwise I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. So ideally I want to work every day except for 2 days. So I would like to work 5 days in a row and have Wednesday and Thursday off, because this summer I'm bowling in a summer league, and then I was bowling in a regular season league on Thursday, but that ended, and so now we're switching to summer league, which is Wednesday night. And actually, this upcoming Wednesday is the first night of league night for the summer, and I'm excited for it. I'm gonna be bowling with some friends, that I've made at the bowling center, and so. So yeah, I'm gonna be bowling in a summer league. I think it's like a 16-week league. It lasts for the whole summer, so it'll go from this next Wednesday to sometime in like mid to late August, and it'll last till the summer. And then we'll take a couple weeks off before we start the next regular season. And so it's just a great way to get out, interact with people in the real world. It lets me bowl, which is really fun. Bowling is a great way to stay in shape, that kind of thing. One of the things about my job is that I work nights mostly, and the entertainment center that I work at is it closes pretty late some nights. Like Friday and Saturday we close at 2 a.m. and so we all get out right at 2 a.m. Thanks to the position that I work in, and the department that I work in inside the place. And so, which is a whole lot better because I work in our arcade department now, whereas I worked in our kitchen beforehand. And I like cooking. Cooking's really fun. It's really relaxing. But both of those things completely stripped away whenever you're thrust into the high-stress, rushed environment of a professional kitchen. And I hated it. So I switched from working in the kitchen to working in the games department, and it was a pretty large pay cut, I would say, but I mean the comfort is way higher, and so and it's just a job that I'm much more suited for. I'll like nobody really likes talking to customers because they come up with ridiculous questions that they expect you to have the answer to, and they want you to treat them like they're special and that kind of thing, which is just basically impossible, because I don't understand how anybody can be that happy and cheery for that long. But I mean, I'm much more suited for customer service jobs, and this is probably the easiest customer service job that I've ever had, because most customers are pretty nice, and like I'm not having to tell customers ridiculous things like that. Like I've in the time that I've been working in games. I have not had a horrifying nightmare customer experience yet. And we're going to really hope that doesn't happen because, yeah. Right, and so I get off really late most nights because I'm always closing, you know, the earliest that I would get off on a night that I'm when I'm working at night is midnight. Like my next day that I work is tomorrow, and I work from 5 p.m. to midnight, and so I'll be driving, you know, home in the dark. But the nice thing about the dark is that there's not going to be, I mean, it's a Tuesday night, so there's not going to be tons of people on the roads, or anything like that. And so it's just, yeah. And so, one of the things that's come about because of me getting off so late at night, at that time of night, the only places that are open to eat or get dinner at are McDonald's or IHOP or the gas station. And so I usually get McDonald's most nights because, I mean, it's fast. You know, it's really easy. It's very inexpensive. And I mean, it's filling, and I like McDonald's. I think McDonald's is really good. I understand that a lot of people really hate McDonald's for 1,000 different reasons. I like going to IHOP, but IHOP is already pretty slow. But at that time of night, it's like freaking, you know, I've been sitting down for 30 minutes and I haven't even had a waitress come up and give me my menu yet. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, you know, because I mean, like, since IHOP is only one of 3 places that are open at that time of night, they're actually still pretty busy, which sucks because they only ever have 2 servers at maximum, with 1 guy working the kitchen from what I've seen. And it's just, I'd hate to fucking work at IHOP at that hour. I'd hate to work at IHOP at any hour because, I mean, God, they're so popular. And then the next thing, in terms of easiness, the next thing after McDonald's would be the gas station, because you literally just walk in, grab what you want off the shelf, and you pay for it right then and there. The only thing about the gas station that I frequent is a bit frou-frou. It's a bit higher class, and so a lot of the stuff that they have is a little bit more expensive. Like and so I routinely spend more at the gas station than I do at McDonald's, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but you know how it is. And so, So with me getting off work so late at night, and then me, going to McDonald's at freaking 2 a.m., 2:30, 3 a.m. some nights, it gives me a lot of time to myself. I mean, which I already have, but being out, being in my car out on the town, not really out on the town, but like being in my car out in the city, driving around on the streets that are very empty at that time of night. It's a different kind of peacefulness and relaxation that also comes with the possible worries of being out that late at night, because you have the really special characters who come out that late at night. And but this has caused me to start, I've noticed that a lot of the things that I've been watching on YouTube lately are things that I have been watching on YouTube pretty regularly for like the last few years. And I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to sort of get tired of the same things that I've been watching. And so I'm trying to look for new stuff to watch. And so what I have discovered is that I'm a huge fan of Good Mythical Morning. I think that the stuff that show puts out and that Rhett and Link put out is incredible. They have a whole production team behind all of that. They're so funny. They're so relatable. They're just also genuinely great people if you know about the other stuff that they do outside of the show, generally, and that kind of thing. And the whole concept of Good Mythical Morning as a show is amazing. It's this variety show that is meant to celebrate all these things about the human spirit and the human mind and that sort of thing. And all of that is incredible to me. And so I originally started out just watching Good Mythical Morning on the show, and now I've started to branch out. So for a long time, I was watching their own personal channel called Rhett and Link, which they turned back up on when the pandemic started. And so those are some really fun, cool vlogging videos. And so what I've also done is I've also started watching. So I'm a really huge fan of their podcast called Ear Biscuits. It's a really great podcast where the two of them just talk about their lives. They talk about state of the world. They pick a certain topic each week. One big thing that they've been one big thing that's been coming up a lot over time as their podcast has progressed is back in their early lives, when both of them were about the same age as me, and I'm in my early 20s. They were talking, or both of them were very hardcore Christians. Like they were super Puritan Christians. It's the kind of thing where you care more about your faith and making sure that you're a good Christian person than you do about anything else in your life. That's the kind of Christians. That's how faithful that they were. And one of the things that some of their most popular episodes are episodes that have to do with their deconstruction of their Christian mindsets into becoming what is more of an agnostic mindset, which is where you don't necessarily believe in one God. Agnostic means that you believe that there is a higher power controlling the universe, but you have no idea what it is, and you stop worrying about it at that point. That's what I would say that I am. I would say that I'm an agnostic person, and I believe that there is something greater beyond what our human comprehension is. But, I really stopped worrying about it at that point because it's completely out of my control. And so even deeper in Ear Biscuits, they have this thing called the Ear Biscuits Bites channel, which is short little 10-minute clips, which are highlights from certain specific hour and a half long episodes of Ear Biscuits. One that I watched last night, I think is what it was the one where they're talking about, it had something to do with Rhett, and so Rhett was talking about his deconstruction and about a lot of the things that he's saying that, like, when it comes to brand new scientific discoveries that directly clash with what Christians believe, the church, the official church, are always the last ones who they're always the last ones who will accept that. Like um like he was talking about evolution. There are certain Christians who do believe in evolution, even though that goes against what the Bible states. Because the Bible states that God created the universe, God created man, and then he created woman. After that, he created all these animals. Whereas evolution speaks against that speaks against this idea that God just, waved his hand and all of a sudden the universe existed. Because evolution states that, okay, first we had this amoeba, then a million years passed, that amoeba transformed into this, then another million years passed, and things kept getting bigger until we got out of the water, things developed legs, and were able to live on land. We went through the dinosaurs, Neanderthals, and then we finally got the Homo sapiens, and all of that leads up to development up until modern day. Rhett was saying that the church still does not believe in evolution. And so, I think that the conversation eventually turned, and where it was sort of this talking about death. And so, when it comes to me, I would say that I accepted the fact that I am going to die. I think I came to terms with the inevitability of death a long time ago, but I don't know exactly when. Death is this thing that all forms of life have to go through. It's completely inevitable. There is no avoiding it, and trying to run from it is completely futile. And of course, there are certain psycho people who think that they can, cheat death by doing things that make them live exceptionally longer, or things that will make them immortal. And the reality is that those people are scared. And it's okay to be scared of something that is so horrifying as dying. I wouldn't be, as I said, I am not scared of the idea of death if I know that it's not going to happen for 70, 80 more years of my life. Like, if I die in my 80s, or my 90s because I peacefully passed away in my sleep because my body just couldn't do it anymore, then that's fine. But like, I don't want to die in a car crash tomorrow before I've had the opportunity to really change the world or really start my life as a person. I am okay with death if I die in old age from natural causes. I will not be okay with death if I die very early on in my life because of the stupidity of another person or even the stupidity of myself. I will not be okay with death if that happens to me. And so, so I've come to terms with the fact that I'm going to die. It really doesn't scare me anymore because it's going to happen no matter what. The thing that scares me when I think about death is not the fact that I'm going to die. It's the fact that I know that my family is going to die. Like, I'm the youngest person in my immediate family. It's my dad, my mom, my sister, and then it's me. With the way that the chips are currently falling, it's most likely going to be that all three other members of my family are going to die before I will because of certain causes. And that will most likely be whenever, we are all much older. Like, my dad is 54, 55 now. And so my dad's got another solid 20 years of his life, which means that the likelihood of my dad dying before I turn 40 is pretty low. It's not low, I guess, but it's not any higher than any other person. My dad drinks a fair bit, but he does it responsibly, and he just drinks the same amount that he's always drank. He's not drinking more, and so that kind of thing. If anything, my dad's actually drinking less now that he's getting older. My dad is eating healthier. My dad doesn't work out or exercise regularly, but my dad, I'm not going to say that he needs it, but exercise would always be helpful, that kind of thing. Um, my mom my mom is a nurse, and she does the most absurd amounts of walking that I've ever seen anybody do in my entire life. And she routinely takes probably 20,000 steps a day as a nurse. And so my mom, even though my mom probably doesn't look like she's in very good shape, my mom is probably very healthy, because my mom drinks almost nothing but water, and she eats relatively healthy as well. And then my sister is still really young. My sister's only 6 years older than me, and my sister will be 30 within, I think my sister will actually be 30 next year. And so, yeah, because I'll be 24, she'll turn 30. And so, even though when I think about it, I realize that my family's deaths are very far away, as things currently seem, but I can't help but be, like, afraid. And I still remember the first time that I realized that my dad is not always going to be there for me, because eventually one day my dad will pass on to the next life, or wherever you go after you die. And I remember, I mean, we're literally sitting in like we're sitting in some freaking arcade pizza parlor in some fucking place. And I remember the first time about thinking about the fact that my dad will not always be here for me, and I almost cried in the middle of the restaurant. And I'm with my mom and my sister because we were on vacation, and my dad doesn't like going on vacation. Or I think my dad likes going on vacation, he just hates being around like huge sorts of things. And so I think I will be more okay with the deaths of my family if I can help them fulfill dreams of theirs before they passed on. I told my dad, if the YouTube channel takes off and all of a sudden I become a millionaire or something, I told him that one of the first things that him and I are going to do is go to the Super Bowl together. Because I've never been to the Super Bowl, but I'm not crazy. I'm not a crazy football fan. My dad is an insane football fan. He's been watching every single. I don't know if my dad has missed a single NFL game in the last 20 years. And I know that he does a fantasy football season with other people that he works with every year. And I know that for a fact, whenever I have the opportunity, I'm going to take my dad and myself, and we are going to enjoy a week or a weekend, wherever it is. And we are going to go to the Super Bowl together. That is what I decided. And so that is I don't know what my dad's ultimate ultra dream in life is going to be, but as far as I can tell, that's probably way up there. And so I'm definitely going to take my dad to the Super Bowl to fulfill that dream of his. Because I asked my dad, would you go to the Super Bowl no matter who was playing? And he answered yes without hesitation. So my dad cares a lot more about being at the Super Bowl than he does about who's playing at the Super Bowl. And so yes, once again, if I ever gain the possibility to do it, I'm going to take my dad to the Super Bowl to fulfill that dream of his. That way I can be a little bit more okay with his inevitable death, knowing that he got to experience that at least once. For my mom, I don't know exactly what my mom's great dreams are, because I feel like a lot of them have already been revealed. Because like, my mom loves the beach. My mom goes absolutely crazy for the beach. We live in the Midwest, and so we don't live near any coasts or anything like that. So anytime we have the opportunity to go to the beach, my mom absolutely relishes every single second of it. It's all that she wants to do is just sit on the beach, listen to the waves, and watch the rest of us have a good fun time at the beach. And especially now that my nephew is getting old enough to where he can actually start to enjoy the times with my mom as his grandma, I think that she's starting to love it even more. And so I think it's just one of those things where, I'll try to take my mom on as many beach vacations as I can, because I know that she can't get enough of it, and that she loves She loves smelling the ocean air. She loves seeing the waves crash up on the beach. She loves sitting she loves sitting on the beach and watching the waves, feeling the water. And but I would say even beyond that would be cruises. Going on cruises is so much. I haven't been on a cruise in at least 5 years, and me and my mom were actually going to go on one either 1 or 2 years ago, but we all know why that couldn't happen. And so once we're able to, I think I definitely want to take my mom on a cruise again. Probably just the two of us, because I want these experiences that I have with my family to be personalized between just me and just that person. So so whenever my dad and I go to the Super Bowl, I want it to be just the two of us. I don't want anybody else there. I want to plan the whole thing. I want us to, be like, okay, I don't even really want to like plan. I just want to be like, okay, me and you are leaving on this day at this time. Once we get there, we'll check into our hotel and we can do whatever we want until the big game. And then once the big game is over, we'll leave the next morning or the day after that, and everything will be back to normal. And then for the same for my mom, I'll be like, okay, Mama, you and I are gonna leave on this day at this time. Make sure your stuff is packed. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the little beach house that we're gonna stay at for that week or that weekend, and then we're just gonna do whatever we want for those days. Go to any restaurant you want. Go to the beach at any time. Do any kind of shopping. I will pay for everything. I will handle everything. No worries at all. I will drive us everywhere. And then my sister's really similar to my mom, but I would say that my sister is like my mom and my dad, or my sister likes all the things that my mom loves to do. So my sister loves going to the beach. My sister loves going anything that has to do with Disney. My sister's a huge Harry Potter fan. But my sister sort of has my dad's demeanor, where she's pretty calm and cool about most things. My sister's a very understanding, typically really easy to get along with person, and that sort of thing. And so I would most likely want to take my sister either to the beach, either for a short beach vacation as well, or maybe a cruise as well, or her and I could go to Disney World or Universal Orlando Studios for a vacation like that as well. And that would be wonderful. That'd be spectacular. And then so this all comes back to me fulfilling the dreams of my families, to know that they had great lives, and so that they will die with less regrets than they may have had previously. Because I think that, my dad would never show it, but I think that if my dad doesn't ever get to go to the Super Bowl, I think that he'll regret that. I think that he'll regret the fact that he never got to go to the Super Bowl at once in his life, despite watching it on TV every single year for as long as he's been alive. He's the only person in my family who really loves football, and so the thought of being able to take my dad to something that would be that important to him is what it would all be about in the end. And so knowing that I'll be able to fulfill those dreams and make my family happy in those ways, so that their deaths are easier to swallow, is what I'm after. And then once I get past the inevitability that my family is going to die, most likely before me, once I've come to terms with that, what I begin to think about after that is, what is waiting after death? Is it just a big black void, just like my body, me floating in space, surrounded by darkness for all eternity? Well, I really hope that's not what it is. That sounds really fucking boring, and that would just drive me crazy. Is there reincarnation? Is there a second life? Do you go into the next life? Are you reborn into the modern world as a different person, as a new baby, that sort of thing? You know, I've heard this thing, I think it's called like the egg theory. I don't know what it is, but it's this idea that you die, and then what happens is that now that you've died, you meet this person on the other side waiting for you, and they tell you everything that has happened to you, and that, no, you're dead. Welcome to this place. I'm going to walk with you until you are born into the next life. And then they tell you who you're going to be born as and in what time period. And they'll say that, well, you were a man in your last life who lived in Victorian England, but now you're going to be reborn as a Chinese woman who will grow up and live as a rice farmer in, you know, in Imperial China. That kind of thing. And so, is it like that? Is it like where you die, but you aren't born just in the next life in the regular cycle of time? You're instead transported to a completely different time period as a completely different person? Is it that kind of thing? And so, if it isn't the endless black void, which God, I hope it's not that one. If it isn't reincarnation, which I would like it to be reincarnation, I think I would like to just be born into my next life and not have to. And this leads into the next part. If there is a whole idea of heaven or hell, well, I don't really want it to be that one either, because I'm not a religious person in really any sense. And so if you look at it from the Christian point of view, the fact that I'm not an extreme, firm believer in the idea of God, well, then that means that I'm not good enough to go to heaven, which means that I'll be sent to hell no matter what. Well, that's not really fair to me or to other people, because I know I know people who are like devout Christians who are really bad people, like people who are genuinely like evil. They do bad things. They think that they can just go out and party and get blackout drunk and break the freaking law 50 times in one night. And then the fact that they go to church and confess their sins the next morning means that they can just go to heaven. Like that doesn't fit with me. Like, I know plenty of genuinely fantastic, great people who don't do bad things, who, you know, they help out the homeless and they go to orphanages and spend time with children and they donate to charity. But because of the fact that they're not devout Christians, that means that they're not good enough to go to heaven. That kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like in Dantes Inferno, which is a fantastic book and you should read it. In Dantes Inferno, he talks about a story of a man who is happily married to this one woman. The story goes that this man is married to this woman, but the man is deformed. He's not very attractive. He's very ugly, but you know, he's like me. You know, I'm not very handsome, but I've got a great personality. And so the story goes that the husband, who is deformed, finds his beautiful wife kissing his brother. The man, out of anger, murders the both of them, and then he kills himself. All three of them end up going to hell. When Dante meets them in the Inferno, he finds out that, so the way that it was explained to me by a teacher of mine is that it's not that, the way that Dante sees it in his eyes, because Dante wrote the poem, it's that we hear that they were kissing or like making out, which in the eyes of a devout Christian, that is just as bad as having premarital sex. And it was, the way it was explained to me is that for a devout Christian, being in a relationship that is centered around your Christian ideals is what is most important. And that if you look at another person and you even think for one split second about doing anything that goes against your religious beliefs with that person, that is automatic ticket into hell. That's the way it was explained to me. It was the fact that the deformed husband and the beautiful wife were a very devout Christian couple, but the woman took one look at the more attractive brother. For 1 second, she had apparently thought about kissing him. And from the moment she had that thought, she was already doomed to spend an eternity being tortured in hell. And I get that you should be faithful to your partner. And I completely wholeheartedly believe that, you know, doing those kinds of things. And I mean, like, said, even if she was just thinking about that kind of thing, maybe that's not so bad. But the fact that the story goes that they were actually found kissing, you know, maybe the husband shouldn't have murdered both of them and then killed himself. That was probably not a very smart idea. But I can understand the husband's anger. Like, you know, she's obviously a cheater. You should obviously get rid of her. But it's the fact that just thinking about another person in that way when they're not the person that you're in a relationship with is, it's just like thinking about like looking at a pretty girl on the street, and I'm having the thought of what it would be like to kiss her. The fact that me having this split-second thought that means nothing means that I have an automatic ticket into hell and I can never be rid of that ticket. That's not very fair to me, because that's just human nature, to have the desire to love another person. And so I think that's not very fair for someone who can be that devout of a Christian to have that one fleeting thought one time and all of a sudden, you know, they're damned for all eternity. Once again, that doesn't sound very fair to me. And so, because, like, I'm not a devout Christian by any means. I'm just not a very religious person at all. And the fact that I'm not a religious person, and the fact that even though I'm not a religious person, but I'm not a bad person by any means, the fact that I'm not a religious person, despite the fact that I'm a very good person, still means that I am going to be damned for all eternity. Means that I don't want the concept of heaven or hell to exist at all. And so, so I've been talking for 56 minutes now. Sorry that things got so not real. I mean, but yeah, real. But yeah, we're having just true adult conversations here on the channel in these writing videos. But I got a portion of scene 5 written down. I will save reading it all to you until the scene is actually finished, which will not be in this video because I don't want the video to go over an hour long. So we're gonna save it real quick. Save. But I think I know what I want to do with scene 5. And so we're gonna get to work on that in the next video, the next writing video. And so, you know, if you have family members or people that in your life that you really care about and that you want them to have good lives and experience the things that they've always desired, then you should make every effort to do that. You should make every effort to make your family members' lives better and less regretful, possibly. If you all enjoyed this video, then please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel to see more content just like this in the future. Whenever you all do that for me, it helps me stay motivated to make more content for you all in the future. As I said at the beginning of the video, it seems that only 20% of all of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So please, for the 80% of you who are not subscribed to the channel, then please, if you enjoyed this video or any of the other videos on my channel for any reason at all, please hit that subscribe button. It really does me a huge favor. It lets the channel grow, which allows me to make better content for you. So please, if you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe. Once again, thank you all for watching. Until next time, bye.